The whiteboard marker slipped slightly in Tony Ranzinger's hand, not because he was nervous, but because he was aware of his surroundings. The conference room lights were bright, the table was too long, and the chairs had the kind of stiff padding that made people sit like they were preparing for cross-examination. A faint smell of coffee lingered in the air, mixed with something else Tony recognized immediately: skepticism. Pat, his manager, had warned him the day before. 5 senior leaders voiced concern at the last executive meeting. Finance, operations, quality, sales, regulatory. There were 2 quarters of declining cash flow margins. Vendor complaints were climbing. Delivery of key piece parts were late. The executive team wanted fresh thinking. They wanted results. Yesterday, Pat had suggested Tony lead a cross-functional process improvement team. Not everyone had supported that suggestion. Now, here they were, 30 days into the project. The define, measure, and analyze phases were now completed. Today, the improve phase would begin with the all-important brainstorming session. Tomorrow, the ideas would be reported to the executive team. Several leaders believe someone from operations should be leading this effort, not someone from the project management office. They didn't need anyone to say it. Tony didn't need anyone to say it out loud. He could read it in their body language. Arms folded, chairs leaned back, eyes were watching, but none were connecting. Pressure had entered the room before Tony even spoke. Brainstorming sounds collaborative on paper. Under pressure, it can become political. People tend to protect their territories. They defend their budgets. They preserve alliances. And if they doubted the facilitator, they didn't resist loudly. They resisted quietly, whispering side comments. Tony's biggest concern wasn't the whole room. It was Richard Dorgan, VP of Operations. Richard had a deep Lean Sigma background and strong opinions. He'd seen facilitators come and go. He could smell fluff. And he didn't hide impatience when he thought a process was drifting. Richard had assigned Sam Goodwin, a manufacturing engineer, to the team. Sam was smart, observant, and loyal to operations. Tony had heard the whispers. Sam was quietly comparing Tony's approach to Richard's preferred methods. He looked for gaps, differences, and possible holes. Tony could feel his heart rate climbing as he imagined tomorrow's executive update. The kind where questions weren't curious. They would be sharp. Tony needed to be ready. Then a quiet whisper arrived. If this fails, you will lose credibility. That thought could derail a session before it began. Because when a facilitator tries to prove himself, he tends to over-control. And over-controlled rooms don't generate good ideas. They generate resistance. Tony knew he had 2 choices. He could fight the pressure by talking faster, proving more, and pushing harder. Or he could manage it. Tony paused before starting. This was the moment. He could feel the pressure, or he could lead through it. He chose to slow it down, not dramatically, but deliberately. He set the marker down, looked around the room, and let silence exist for 1 extra beat. Then he spoke calmly. If the pressure belonged in the room instead of being something to fear. Let's acknowledge something, Tony said. We're under pressure. The executive team wants results. The cash flow numbers aren't where they want them. And when pressure builds, it can feel overwhelming. A few heads nodded, small, almost involuntary movements. When situations feel overwhelming, he continued, the key isn't to solve everything at once. The key is to break it down. The room went silent. Our job today isn't to fix the entire company, Tony said. Our job is to generate one idea at a time, one thought at a time. He took a slow breath. If you feel tension rising, he added, slow your breathing. Focus on the next question in front of you. That's it. Trust the process. Tony watched shoulders shift, pens repositioned, a chair squeak forward instead of backward. Not relaxed, but focused. Pressure still existed, but now it had rails. Tony began with the ground rules. Rule number 1, no criticism. Rule number 2, quantity over quality. Let's get as many ideas as possible. Rule number 3, build on ideas already presented. And rule number 4, wild ideas are welcome. A few nervous chuckles filled the air. Then he wrote the question on the board. How can we improve the approval process for invoices? Chris suggested a checklist. Sam proposed a digital tracking system. Alex recommended standardizing invoices. Taylor offered an idea on automated reminders. From the back of the room, Chris stepped in. Taylor, what software are you planning to use for that? Tony felt the room tilt. He smiled. Let's hold the questions for later. Right now, let's just generate ideas, one idea at a time. The rhythm returned. Suggestions flowed freely. 19 ideas filled the whiteboard. Tony projected the Eisenhower matrix onto the screen. Impact versus effort. Simple, visual, neutral. All right, Tony said, pointing to the top left quadrant. Due to a modest budget and a tight timeline, we're ideally looking for high impact, low effort solutions first. Chris leaned forward. On a checklist for approvers, something simple and consistent. It would be high impact, low effort. A no-brainer. Tony placed Chris's sticky note into the top left quadrant. Sam spoke next. A digital tracking system for us to see where each invoice stands. It would be high impact, but high effort because IT resources would be needed and there might be potential delays. Tony placed Sam's sticky note in the top right quadrant. Alex weighed in. Standardizing invoices. That would reduce confusion, high impact, and medium effort. Tony shifted the sticky note to the upper middle portion of the matrix. Taylor raised her hand. Automate reminders for due dates. Definitely a high impact, and the effort would be... Alex jumped in. I'd argue that it could be relatively low effort if we use existing software. I agree, Sam nodded. It should be too hard. I can leverage the software that we are using in operations. Tony smiled. So it would be rated as high impact, low effort, right? Yes, the team nodded. After evaluating the remaining ideas, the top 3 overall ideas were: number 1, create an invoice checklist. 2, standardize invoices. And 3, automate reminders. Well, it looks like these 3 ideas have become the vital few, announced Tony. The greatest impact with the least amount of effort. Good job, everyone. Tony felt a shift in the team. Sam leaned forward. Pens started moving faster. Laptops started clicking. Voices overlapped, not in conflict, but in momentum. Sam wasn't evaluating anymore. He was totally on board. The room felt different, structured, supportive, and engaged. They identified 3 experiments: clear ownership, clear next steps, no grand solution, but movement. And in business, movement beats paralysis every time. When we closed the session, there was no applause, no celebration, just quiet head nods, which felt even better. Driving home that evening, Tony entered a cloverleaf interchange, seamlessly transitioning him from one highway to another. He had driven through this interchange countless times, but tonight it struck him. Those structures may appear simple, but at the time when they were built, they were anything but. President Eisenhower and his National Highway Program broke down the construction challenge by breaking down the design into safe, guided paths. A true engineering marvel. Tony's thoughts shifted to the Eisenhower Matrix. Its framework reduced the pressure of prioritizing ideas. It helped our team make decisions based on impact versus effort. Everything fell into place. Moments like this reveal how we respond to pressure. It is universal. In the beginning, Tony could feel the pressure in the room, in the people, and in himself. Moments like this show us something. Deep down, he always had a process, problem-solving tools, and his rigorous preparation. He had practiced them, not once, but over and over again. Leading under pressure wasn't about controlling everything. It was about facilitating the process. Before he spoke, he slowed his physiology. One deep breath in, one slow exhale out. That breath steadied his voice. Then he narrowed his focus. Instead of trying to prove himself, he focused hard on keeping everyone involved. The process then naturally revealed good ideas. And his preparation helped him fully trust the process. Moments like this can happen more often than we think. On the field, in the workplace, and in life. The team rallied around each other. Alex and Sam built on Taylor's original idea, and Chris got her concerns answered. Those kinds of actions are true moments of magic. When the meeting ended, the tension didn't explode. It just slowly melted away. Because as a leader, he broke the process down, step by step. And sometimes that's what makes the difference.